Hello there, and welcome back to Saber Reels. This is the Star Wars show here on the Who Are They Real Entertainment Network. My name is Toby Barkwell, and I am the host of this particular program. And with me, as always, Matt Thomas. Matthew, how are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing good, but better yet, Toby got a computer!
Yay! No more low-budget broadcasting for me. I'm close. I got to get a streaming camera because the one I have now is cheeks. It's terrible. It doesn't look too bad on the stream, but it still bugs me. I want to get something nice, high quality for our fans out there, right? And for me also, because like I said, it bugs me just looking at it right now.
Granted, we know a lot of our fans, and we were just talking about this. This show primarily does well on replay, and we get that. It's a Star Wars show. There's so many of us out there, but we love talking about it.
Exactly, but no more phone, no more headphones. Or no more like cheap Apple phones with the mic. Those days are over.
No more phone falling over mid-broadcast.
Yes, that's the most important thing. That happened like twice in a row on two different shows. So yeah, no more of that. But we are excited to be here talking about Bad Batch. That is what we do mostly on this show, as Bad Batch is airing every single week. But we have a few other things to cover before we get into that conversation, starting off with our week in Star Wars. Not much for me this particular week. Bad Batch, obviously the big thing. I did pre-order one figure because that's every single week there's a new figure that comes out. And that was the Amazon exclusive Ahsoka Tano Pop from The Mandalorian. It might be one of the best sculpts I've seen Funko come out with her in the robe and the two lightsabers. It is beautiful. I cannot wait to add that one to my collection. And Matt, if I know you at all, I'm guessing you probably pre-ordered this one too, right?
Yeah, I pre-ordered this one. And you know me, I'm not that big of a Funko guy. I only have like 4 total. I count Silent Bob, even though I have 2 of them, as one because both were gifts. One was a gift from my girlfriend and it's signed. One was, when this figure first came out, a gift from my brother and it's not signed. So he counts as one. But I have very few pops, and I was like, yeah, I need this one.
Yeah, if you can tell behind me, I am a pop guy. I got some on that shelf, and I got some on that shelf. And I have some in storage, too, so I have quite a few. And I told myself I was going to stop for a little while because the collection was getting a little too much. But yes, as Funko does, they have drops like every 2 weeks. It's kind of stupid, to be honest. And every single drop, there's at least one that I want, and they just did the Mandalorian ones. Like we mentioned before, the Ahsoka Tano, and we got a new Boba Fett, which I'm probably going to get that one too. But yeah, Funko Pops, man, it never ends. But other than that, I really didn't have anything else going on in Star Wars. What about you? Did you watch any other shows or movies, or did you read anything?
I did like an online watch with my godson of Rise of Skywalker, because that we had this thing where I would take him to see every Star Wars movie when they were coming out, and he still was upset that we hadn't gotten to watch Rise of Skywalker together. Which it's weird to say that a 6-year-old is my best friend, but he doesn't really have a father figure, and we're very close. And I used to watch him like 2 to 5 days a week. So a lot of my personality of being a geek rubbed off on him. So we bond over a lot of stuff. And Star Wars was one of the first things I showed him. I think I still have a video. I'm going to have to download it and put it up here. Of the first Star Wars movie I showed him, because he's a little kid. You can't put on the original trilogy at the time. You had to put something on that entertained them more, and it was I put on Phantom Menace because I knew, I'm like, okay, lots of flashy lightsaber fights and silly Jar Jar, keep a little kid entertained, and I put the caption as Stardom Young. He sat on my lap the entire time in my old setup where my desk and whatnot was under my TV. So I was working at my laptop or desktop at the time. He's just doing this.
That's awesome. So, I love that.
So he was talking. He's moving back in town this upcoming at the end of June, and he's like, I can't wait anymore. I can't go to Galaxy's Edge with you because last year my family was supposed to go to Galaxy's Edge, but coronavirus. He and my cousin were going to meet us up, and he wanted to go to Galaxy's Edge with me. His mother, my cousin, had told him, he's like, you can go when cousin Matt comes in town. And now that they're moving back, he can't go, and he's upset about that because he just wanted to experience that with me. So we have that bond. I gave in, and he put me on video chat on his little iPad and laid down on the floor and looked up at the TV, and we did one of those group watches through Disney Plus. And I watched Rise of Skywalker with him. I carved out some time to do that.
That's really cool. I love that. Similar story, I guess, is I was watching Bad Batch yesterday, and Avery came in. My little niece Avery, she came in, and it was during when the Rancor and Wrecker were fighting, and she was just like pointing at the TV, like laughing. And I was like, "This is amazing!" Like my little 3-year-old niece falling in love with Star Wars already, and it's because of Bad Batch, which is a brand new TV show. Right. Like I love introducing Star Wars to kids because there's so much for them to consume between the shows and the movies and stuff, and it never fails. They're always like eyes like this, like, "Ooh, what is that? Ooh, lightsaber. Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh, Jar Jar, funny." Like they love it so much, and that's why we love it, is because we grew up with it, and now we're adults and we get to talk about it and do cool things like this. And passing it down to the next generation, for me, is the most important thing for all of it, right? Like you can get into how much you don't like the sequels, fine, but there are little kids out there who look up to Rey, right? Yep. And that's the most important thing. That's what matters, right? And
my godson's favorite character is Finn. That's his favorite Star Wars character is Finn. So
exactly, like that's very important to not just to me, but to a lot of other fans out there. And it's really nice seeing our family members, loving it as much as we do, and it makes it even that more fun because we're seeing it through brand new eyes. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on this week in terms of news, quote unquote, but there were a lot of fun little discussions out there in the Star Wars world this week. We're going to start off with Make Solo 2 Day. Was on what, Tuesday or Wednesday?
The 24th. So that would have been Monday.
Monday. Okay. Right. And this is like the third annual Make Solo 2 Happen Day. I don't partake in the conversation as much as a lot of people, but I'm definitely on board with it. I definitely would like to see more Star Wars in the Solo world. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about just for this particular topic is if you could pick one out of all the stories that are set up throughout Solo, whether that be more Han Solo and Chewie or more Darth Maul, the Kira stuff, like out of all of that, what would you want to see most? And in what medium would that be?
So for me, at least, I want a Star Wars show. I personally loved Alden Ehrenreich as Han. I felt like as much as some people like my hero Christian Harloff like to say that wasn't Han, that was Han. People are different in every point of their life. It was a younger Han, and that was what Han was like. And we saw the events that caused him to become this cynical character we know and love now. So
you would say that you want to see more Han Solo, more Chewie,
and in turn, more interactions with Han and Lando. Because I felt like for that one instance of them being together, that being the last time they see, I'm like, there's old buddies off of that instance. Not enough for me. I need more. That's not old buddies.
I mean, and having Donald Glover come back to play Lando, I mean, give me all of that. I know we're getting a Lando show. We're not entirely sure what that looks like quite yet.
I have a theory.
Is it going to be both? Is it going to be young Lando and old Lando?
Well, we know who. Yeah, my theory is both. We know that Jonna was supposed to be revealed as Lando's daughter in The Rise of Skywalker originally. It's hinted at, and even the novelization. And I think, I don't know if you've ever watched Young Indiana Jones. There's an episode that Harrison Ford's actually in, and he's reminiscing about his past. So ideally for that, I think that show is it's a back and forth adventure. You get to have Billy D, you get Donald Glover, best of both worlds. They're going off to try to find Jaina's heritage just to discover it's him. And along this journey, he's telling her the story of her life, or his life.
I love that. And I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen with Make Solo 2 happen. Are we going to get another show or another movie? But we do know we are getting Lando, which we assume is going to take place in that same universe. So you can get a return of Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, or you could get, a return of Kira, right? But for me personally, I would like to see Maul and Kira and Crimson Dawn. I want that in a show, more than anything, really. But we got a lot of shows announced within the last year, but if we could add another one to that docket, I mean, we're getting rid of Rangers of the New Republic. Can we please just replace it with the Crimson Dawn show and Underworld, criminal Underworld with Maul and Kira, and maybe Jabba the Hutt can make an appearance, which could then lead to another appearance of Han Solo and Chewie. That's what I want. Will we get it? Maybe, maybe not. But I really do love the fandom and that we do this every single year to celebrate Solo, because it was the least performing Star Wars movie today at the box office for a few different reasons. But I love that movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's got a lot of rewatchability to it as well. But because of the way things move, it didn't perform well. We didn't get a sequel, but maybe one day we can get a spiritual successor to it.
So I think that's because fans finally realized, let me take away, especially the fans who hate Jedi, let me take off my hate glasses real quick and give this a real watch. Mm-hmm. And we've seen how Solo's almost become a cult classic. That's the status it's starting to reach.
I mean, yeah, it really is. And it's only been out, 4 years now?
We had that real long break, but I think it's 3 years now. Three or two. It's 2 or 3.
It came out in 2018. Right?
Yeah, so it's 3. It's been officially 3 years this week. So yeah.
Okay. I can't believe that, man. Time flies. But also got to bring up too, Enfys Nest. I want to see Enfys Nest in some capacity. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a Solo show or a Crimson Dawn show, but just have her pop up in Endor, maybe. Yes. I think that would be pretty cool.
I especially after you see the actress in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm just like, I'd like more of her, please.
Yeah, she's great.
She's phenomenal. I really love what she brings to the character. Are we just supposed to live with that being it for her? I know I can't. I don't know about you.
No, I mean, such a great setup for a character in that movie, right? She's supposed to be the villain, right? That, they're trying to fight against, trying to do these, these tasks and these jobs for Crimson Dawn. She just keeps getting in the way. And at the very end, you find out, oh no, she's part of the rebellion. And she has this great backstory with her mom in that mask. And she has this great speech at the end. That brings a tear to my eye.
If you want to compare it to comic books where the Phantom, it's, well, the father died, and then the son takes up the mantle, and that cycle continues.
Exactly, and there's just so much potential with that character in this world with the early days of the rebellion, which I think we're going to get in Endor. So I really do hope that she shows up again, because she's a great character and a great actress that plays her. But yeah, Make Solo 2 happen day was last week. Great conversations all on social media about it. I love people celebrating that movie. I love Ron Howard joining in on the conversation. Just a lot of fun. But moving on to the next quote unquote news, Zack Snyder was doing an interview promoting his new movie Army of the Dead on Netflix, which is okay. I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Probably not, but it was fun.
It was half an hour too long.
Okay, sure. But he said that a couple years before Lucasfilm was sold to Disney, he pitched the idea of a Star Wars movie. I did not really get into all the details of it. I didn't really read the article. I just kind of saw the headline. But
I read the article, sadly.
Okay, great. I don't read things most of the time. But he basically said that they turned it down and that he's developing it into his own movie that's not going to be in the Star Wars universe. And Matt, you and I have many a thought about this story. So we'll go ahead and start with you. What are your thoughts? Would you like a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie?
No.
Yes.
Did I say no enough?
No.
No. You and I are both on the page of we're done with him. I don't need to deal with him in any franchise anymore. And the fact that it's I got turned down, I'm gonna make it anyways, and now try to rework stuff. And I guarantee you, we're gonna have the most bootleg looking Star Wars aliens ever. They're gonna look like Star Wars aliens, and they're gonna look bootleg, and it's gonna be a Netflix movie. I can almost guarantee it.
So no, you would not want to see a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie, and I agree with you, but not for the same reasons, right? So I think that it takes a very special storyteller or director or what have you to make Star Wars, right? Could any director make a Star Wars movie? Sure. Does that mean that they should? Absolutely not, right? And I realized this watching the Mandalorian behind the scenes stuff after season 1 and season 2 aired, that roundtable of all the directors, Deborah Chow, Dave Filoni, Taika Waititi. You can tell just during those short conversations that they really get this stuff. They get the franchise, they get the lore, they get the themes that George presented all those years ago when he first made Star Wars. They're the ones who deserve to continue to make Star Wars for this new generation. I don't think Zack Snyder is that type of guy. I mean, I don't know Zack Snyder, honestly, but just the way he comes across and the way he presents his stories, I really don't think that there's anything that Zack Snyder could bring to the table that would be any way special or deserve to be in the Star Wars universe. You can make, like I just said, you can make a Star Wars movie, have stormtroopers, have lightsabers, have Jedi, but there's so much else that's so much more important than that. And I don't think a guy like Zack Snyder could do that. I am hoping for the future that they continue to stay in-house for all their projects. Like that roundtable for the Mandalorian, all of them. For season 1,
yes. Them. Hey, we got one of them for a movie. We got another one for a TV show. And then they went and got frickin' the director of Wonder Woman, what's her name? Patty Jenkins, for Rogue Squadron. I ain't mad at any of those choices.
I'm not either. And again, before her little video that they teased during Investor Day, where she's talking about how her dad was a pilot and she's wanted to make a star pilot movie her whole career, but she couldn't find the right project. Like just that short video, I'm like, yep, you get it. You understand it. Exactly. You know why you're here, right? And I was immediately on board. And so maybe Zack Snyder could pitch something like that. I don't think he could, or maybe some other director could pitch something very similar and I could hop on board. But for me personally, I want them to stay in-house for the rest of their projects, at least for right now. Dave Filoni, Taika Waititi, Deborah Chow, and Bryce Dallas Howard. Give her a movie, to be completely honest, right? Like,
give her the Kira and Maul movie / show.
Right. I mean, she kicked so much ass on both of her episodes, man. Like, she is so talented. Who would have knew that the daughter of Ron Howard, who has been really just a B-list actress most of her career, could direct like that? And again, she gets it. Her conversations during those roundtables, like, she gets it and she loves it. And that's what I want to see with any director, any future storyteller for Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, before we get into this other story, because I know it's going to be a little... I'm going to throw some levity because I did find the 2 videos of.
Oh, great!
And then this is about literally 5 minutes after the movie ended.
Don't.
Dude, that makes me so happy. Like, I'm literally tearing up right now. Like, just seeing that, man, it's what it's all about. Like, all of the shows and the movies and the conversations, the figures, like all of that is the most important thing.
I when he was younger, I had to stop him from opening my figures a couple times. I'm not even gonna lie. He's like, oh, I'm like, no, Nope.
That's different. That's different. You'll learn one of these days. You'll learn, because I didn't learn. Do you know how many toys I had growing up that are just gone now?
And worth like $100 even open. You're like,
yes.
Ah!
Yes. Like, for example, I don't want to go too much down this tangent, but in 2005, I had the Duel on Mustafar playset. It was a volcano. It came with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they could fight right at the very top of the volcano. Had that playset. It's gone. Don't know what happened to it, but in box, it's worth like $300 now. Like, why didn't anyone tell me that when I was 8 years old? Like, what the hell? Like, that would have been great information to know.
8-year-old Toby probably wouldn't have listened. Just like
no.
Just like 10-year-old Matt didn't listen when people told him, you should. No, I want to play with it. What are you talking about?
So yeah, for your lesson for this week's episode is teach your young nieces and nephews and sons and daughters to keep your figures forever. It'll be worth it, we promise. That way you're not spending money as an adult trying to get your collection back. That
like when you want to buy
Goodwill.
When you want to buy a Spider-Man 2002 movie, Spider-Man and Green Goblin, and you see both of them are going for over $100.
Yeah, I had those too. I had those too. Oh man, rest in peace. Anyway, our last topic for, again, the news, not really Star Wars news in terms of the production of movies and TV shows, but just conversations that have been going on, on the interwebs this week. But J.J. Abrams was doing an interview. It was like a look back at Super 8, and the interviewer asked him about planning, and does he have any regrets of not planning certain projects? Hint, hint. And I don't have the quote with me, but to paraphrase, he basically said, yes.
I can pull it up.
Yes. Thank you, Matt. I'll paraphrase and then we can read the whole quote. But he said, plans are important. That's basically what he said. Planning is a good thing. We probably should have planned on other projects, but when you're in the middle of making a movie, it can be hard to do that, and you deviate from the plan, but you also, want to stick to it. I've never made a movie. I've never made a TV show, but I understand where he's coming from, and the fandom had a whole lot to say in response to this. And I will get into my thoughts on this once Matt pulls this quote up, because I don't want to cheat you guys out on what his exact words are. But we're just going to wait for him to pull up this quote. I'm going to continue to filibuster as I do. All right. Matt is back.
Yes. So the exact quote, you never really know, but having a plan, I have learned in some cases the hard way, is the most critical thing, because otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. You don't know what to emphasize, because if you don't know the inevitable of the story, you're just as good as your last sequence or effect or joke or whatever. But you want to be leading up to something inevitable. Sometimes when it's not working out, it's because it's what you planned, and other times when it's not working out, it's because it's what you didn't have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Right. So basically, damned if you do, damned if you don't, is really what he said. And of course, the fans were in an uproar this whole week. Like, of course you should have planned. Yeah. Like, I could have told you that, duh, right? I don't think it's that simple. Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012. They put out The Force Awakens in 2015, only 3 years later. And typical movie productions take about 2 years, give or take. So you're really looking only at about a year, right, to kind of plan this trilogy out, right? They knew they were making 3 movies, and you're telling me that they gave them a year to come up with the story for the first one out of the trilogy. And I'm not making this up, but Michael Arndt, who was writing the script during this whole process, and he said that he's like, I wanted to develop a trilogy, but Disney said, no, we got to get this first movie out as soon as we can. We got to bank on this investment. I mean, they just spent $4 billion for this franchise, right? They have investors to please. So Uncle Bob was like, nope, we don't have time for that. We got to put this movie out. And Michael Arndt finally walked away from the project, and they brought in JJ to kind of clean it up, and they brought in Lawrence Kasdan as well.
Well, Lawrence Kasdan got his hands on it first.
Okay, sure. But anyway, my point still stands that they did not have a lot of time to develop this first movie. And then while they're making this first movie, shooting this first movie, Rian Johnson's over here writing his sequel. So the first movie hasn't even come out yet, and Rian is already writing the second movie. And they even had to change things at the end of Force Awakens to please Rian, because he didn't like the way it ended. For those who don't know, at the end of Force Awakens, in the original script, and even I believe this scene was shot, but on Ahch-To, Rey goes to bring Luke the lightsaber. Luke is floating. There are rocks floating above his head. He's meditating. He's using the Force, and that's how the movie ends. Ryan did not like that. He said, no, I want to cut the Force away from Luke in this moment. He's, completely, left, society, and he's left the Force. He is just going to live as a hermit for the rest of his life on this island. And so JJ went in and reshot that scene. So they're already making changes to the sequel before the first one comes out, while they're making the first one. And then for Rise of Skywalker, before Rise of Skywalker, the production of Last Jedi goes pretty smoothly. Everyone has great things to say about Rian Johnson, right? So that movie kind of goes off without a hitch. It has its issues. The fans hate it when it first comes out. I think people are starting to come around already, which is cool, but I'm not going to go down that road.
And some are just getting worse.
Sure. But that movie went off without a hitch. And then, okay, we know Colin Trevorrow is writing episode 9 while Rian Johnson is shooting episode 8. So you're seeing a pattern here. Like, there was never a plan. There was never going to be a plan.
And keep in mind, Trevorrow doesn't like some of the stuff going on in 8 because it messes up what he wants to do, which ultimately causes the creative differences because Disney's like, no, those are too many changes, because it was unlike JJ, unlike the small changes Ryan asked of JJ. Trevorrow wanted Luke alive. He wanted to recast Leia, which they're like, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, like, people, as much shit people want to give The Rise of Skywalker, I will never be upset for how they did Leia.
No, I wouldn't either. They were put in an impossible situation, and they did the best they could given the circumstances. And I think the Leia scenes work as well as they can in that movie.
Yes.
But anyway, like you said, Trevorrow gets axed. And so now J.J. Abrams has 2 years to write a script and direct this movie and put it out. Maybe less than 2 years.
Realistically,
right?
He had like probably 3 months to write the script. 3 to 6 months. And they're rewriting daily.
Yeah, exactly. Like Daisy Ridley even said that they changed who her heritage was like 3 times during the shooting. Like, she's like, I don't know anything. They keep changing it. So was there ever going to be a plan? No. Should there have been a plan? Yes. But the higher ups at Disney were never going to let that happen. If it were up to me, if I was Uncle Bob and I was in charge, I would have said, we do not shoot a second of film until all 3 scripts are not necessarily written, but we have a beginning, middle, and end planned, right? That was never the case, because they've even said it. Ryan took the baton, did what he wanted, and gave the baton back to JJ, or it was supposed to go to Colin, and then we already talked about what happened there. So do I enjoy the sequels for what they are? Yes, I find great moments through all 3 movies, but I'm not going to pretend that it would have benefited everyone if they would have sat down and had a plan. I've been talking a lot. I need a drink. Matt, do you have any other thoughts on what JJ had to say during this interview?
I mean, there have been rumors that that JJ had treatments, not scripts, treatments of how he felt the overarching story should go. There have been rumors of that, and it's been reported by multiple sources who, for the most part, are reliable. So, is it possible that there are treatments? There was an overarching plan, and that Disney just said, no, we want to give each director their vision? Let's be honest. Yes, that is a possibility. There are also rumors that JJ and Ryan don't like each other a lot.
See, I don't like to buy into that, because I like to think they're both very professional and kind. And JJ even said that he read the episode 8 script and he thought it was amazing, but he could be lying. Who knows?
But here, think about that. We didn't hear, and somebody pointed this out to me. You never know when reading those quotes what the inflection in his voice was, because he said, "I wish I was directing it."
Mm-hmm.
Why? Never expanded on why. He didn't say it was that good. He just said, "I wish I was directing it."
Right.
Did he wish he was directing it because he didn't like where it went?
And another thing we haven't brought up is Kathleen Kennedy had to convince JJ to even do episode 7. He turned it down the first time, right?
2 times prior.
2 times. And what's so funny is I don't hear a lot of people talk about this. He said in an interview that the reason he decided to do episode 7 is he was asked the question, who is Luke Skywalker? He thought that was very profound, and he wanted to answer that question.
He doesn't even
answer the question. Like Luke Skywalker
he was sitting in that, and that's why I say I think that's why, as much as I do like Last Jedi, I think that's why he
was scared. He was scared. He didn't know what to do.
Not
he
even
didn't know how to handle it.
I think he felt he set Luke up to do something better than what Luke did. And here, as someone who was in the room for the panel for episode 9, and I remember this moment and thinking to myself, "Oh snap!" JJ said the best thing Rian Johnson did was cast Kelly Marie Tran. How much is she in Rise of Skywalker, Toby?
Yeah. I think it's really hard to take what people say during panels like that at face value because there was a lot of emotion and adrenaline running during those times. So he was probably he probably had a script before he even sat down on what he was going to say.
But my point is, like, at the same time, when you say the best thing you did was cast a character and they're barely in your movie.
And I love Kelly Marie Tran, by the way. Like, she's great. Like,
I loved her in Ride the Last Dragon. Oh, I loved it.
See, I still haven't watched it, but once it hits Disney Plus officially,
it is free on Disney Plus now.
Okay, well, that might be what I'm doing tonight. But anyway, that was a whole long discussion this week on Star Wars Twitter and on YouTube. But those are my thoughts, Matt. Those are your thoughts. Yes. I really don't want to get into it anymore. I want to be able to enjoy the sequels for what they are. Sure, it could have been better planned out, but it wasn't. So you just got to take it and kind of get over it, honestly. Like, Rise of Skywalker came out, almost 2 years ago now, which is insane. But we got to stop having this conversation. There are so much great things coming in the Star Wars universe.
I don't want to lead you to wrong. June 4th it is for free.
So okay. All right, cool.
You got 5.
I've got about a week.
Days. Yes.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on this week's news, quote unquote. Again, nothing really in terms of production on any Star Wars projects, but just a lot of conversations online that we wanted to give our 2 cents on. Yes. But that is going to lead us into why we're here. This is why we do this show right now, is Bad Batch episode 5, titled Rampage, dropped on Friday. I've watched it twice now. I really, really enjoyed this episode. Yes. Picks up where we left off. The Bad Batch has to figure out.
What's up, nerds?
Sean? Hi, Sean. How you doing, buddy? Are we talking about The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie? Yes, we are, Sean.
We did. You missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. Just rewind a few minutes, and we got all into that. But anyway, Bad Batch, right? Yes. Picks up where we left off. Bad Batch has found out Fennec Shand is hunting Omega. They got to figure out why. Who hired this person? We gotta keep her safe. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So Echo brings up a great idea. He's like, I have a contact on Ord Mantell, who used to work with the Jedi. I think he thinks he might have some information that could benefit them. So they land on Ord Mantell, and that kind of kicks off this adventure. Matt, we'll go ahead. What were your initial thoughts on this episode, and maybe anything specifically that stood out to you?
Overall, like I said last week, I wanted to get more into the meat and potatoes. And while it took us realistically the last few minutes of the episode, the payoff ultimately was like, okay, I can live with this. This wasn't necessarily filler, because you have to do stupid side missions, because Mando does it every week. He has to do a side mission to get what he needs. And they did a bounty basically to get what they needed. So, hey, they got the information. I felt like we saw Omega grow a little bit, not like physical, but mental. Like I think she's starting to realize this isn't the kid stuff anymore. This isn't. I can't be a kid right now. I'm now having these responsibilities, and I need to be smarter about things.
Yeah, she's growing a lot in a short amount of time, even in this episode, right? Like the episode starts and she's given her own risk communicator. And of course, she wants to play with it like it's a toy. I mean, when I first got my first cell phone, I was calling everybody just because I could, right? Like what is this magical device? I can call my friend who lives 2 hours away and we can talk. What? Like, this is crazy. So I definitely understood where she was at that point. But Echo right away corrects her, like, no, this is not a toy. This is for emergencies, because you're a part of our squad now, and we need to know where you are, and you need to know where we are. And And she learns that lesson. She's like, "You're right. It's not a toy."
And
then as they land on Ord Mantell and they're kind of walking, looking for this bar to find Sid, who is Echo's contact. And Hunter looks down and says, what are the 3 rules? And she knows her 3 rules now. Like, don't leave you guys behind, stay with my squad, right? So she's learning her lessons, because one thing I did not want this show to become was Omega gets in trouble and the Bad Batch have to save her, and that's every episode. But we're already seeing in episode 5 that she's learning her lessons, right? She ran away the last episode, and now she's like, nope, not doing that again. I have my risk communicator. If I get lost, I contact you guys. And so she's already picking up on these things very quickly. Anyway, episode progresses. They find Sid, or Omega finds Sid, right? Like the Bad Batch just like
once again using what we're a lot of fans are perceiving as Force sensitivity. Bad Batch doesn't pick up on it. She walks over. You're Sid.
Mm-hmm.
And Sid's like, huh, you picked up on that. Friends couldn't.
Yeah, like, I mean, that could be Force sensitivity, or it could just be the Bad Batch are just like, they've got so much going on. They did not think, oh, maybe this person's lying. There's only 3 people in this bar. 2 of them are fighting. Maybe this person is actually the contact. But we find out that this older lady, Sid, is the contact, and the Bad Batch want information from her. Like we said, they are looking for Fennec Shand. Well, they don't know it's Fennec Shand at the time, but they're wanting to know more information on this bounty hunter. But you know how Star Wars works. Like, I don't give you information unless you do a job for me. And the Bad Batch, this is all new to them, right? They've been part of the Republic military. Like, they've been given everything they could ever want for their missions. And now they're like, wait, we have to actually do work to get information. This is weird. So we're already seeing, again, in episode 5, the Bad Batch in this ever-changing galaxy, they're having to adapt and learn and change the way that they normally would do things. And the mission is they have to find the slave girl. They have to free her, bring her back, and they will get credits and the information. And on their way to find this girl, they're on the ship. Echo says something that was really profound to me. Or he didn't really say it, was more in response that, oh, we're going to free slaves and get some credits out of it, is what Tech says. And Echo's like, yeah, right. Like, he doesn't feel very comfortable that he's doing a good deed and just to get money for and information.
Right.
What were your thoughts on that? Because I thought that was a really important part of the episode. A very small moment, but an important part of the episode.
I think it's important because Omega, who's asking about slaves throughout this episode, like, wait, people can buy people? And I think it's important for her to see that there's this profound effect, and this is not a good thing. Even though they tell her it's not a good thing, when you see as a child how these older men are reacting to this subject matter, it's important. Something that also happens that I'm shocked you haven't touched on yet. Wrecker's headache is back.
Oh, we were going to get to that. Yeah, I was already thinking about Wrecker's concussion. We are getting more updates on that as these episodes progress. He is once again complaining about his head. And again, it is just very quick. He's just complaining. Hunter's like, what's wrong? He's like, no, I'm good. And they don't even bring it up. So we're going to get that payoff eventually. Like, it's going to happen. Like I said a couple episodes ago, I don't think that they would just tease this and do nothing about it. Like, oh, Wrecker, your chip's about to activate. We got to pull that out before it's too late. No, like, Wrecker's chip is going to activate.
I'm telling you,
going to go down.
That's how Rex is getting brought in.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Because he's got a lot of information, and he's got to catch them up to speed on what's going on in the galaxy.
By the way, you want to know what's great? So I was at work this morning. I work at Costco, so we don't call our customers, we call them members, because you have to be a member to shop at Costco. Put stuff back where it belongs. So this member, he's a regular, and he has a Star Wars license plate. It says Sith 42 and all this. And whenever I see him, we end up talking Star Wars. He's like, dude, have you been watching Bad Batch? This, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you notice Wrecker's headache was back this week? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be a problem. And man, what a scene's that gonna be? Because you're seeing, the relationship that Omega and Wrecker, like, that's starting to develop here. Like, while they're in the bar, when Sid's like, yeah, your kid, discovered me before you guys did. Like, she's like the smartest one in the group. And Wrecker gives her a little high five. Like, it was such a cute little moment, and their relationship is starting to blossom. And man, like, Wrecker's gonna become an actual like menace, right? And it's gonna take the entire team to take him down, and that's gonna be wow. Right. That's gonna be hard to watch. Like, the nicest character in the show by far right now is gonna become a huge problem for these guys.
11 episodes left. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, we're already flying through the show, man. It's crazy. Anyway, they land on Ord Mantell, or they were already on Ord Mantell, and they find the Zygerian slavers. They leave Omega on the ship. Another really great little moment is, she's part of the squad now, right? Mm-hmm. So orders are orders. If you're told to stay on the ship and it's an order, you're staying on the ship. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And she obeys her orders and goes back to the ship, which works out because the Bad Batch gets captured and Omega has to save the day once again.
Which, by the way, she knew when was the proper time to break orders. They're boarding the ship. Because the Zygerians board the ship, and they're like, look around and see if there's anyone else. She slips out the front. She slips out the front and she goes looking for them. And then I love that moment. We need to figure out a way to get into contact with the Mega Tech. I don't think we'll need to. Right.
And then you start to see, Hunter and her have this like nonverbal communication, right? He's like kind of head nodding at the gear. And then Echo is even saying very loudly, like, man, I wish we had our gear. That would really help in this situation. And so she's like, oh, should probably get their gear. But then she makes a noise and, they're starting to suspect something. She sees this cage and she's like, oh, this could be a good distraction. Opens the cage and what it is a baby Rancor.
Wait.
For an adolescent Rancor.
She opens the cage, and right as she opens, she gets caught. I knew you were trying to get the stuff. No, I wasn't. I was opening the cage. Bam!
Right? And then baby Rancor or teen Rancor, whatever you want to say, comes out and just starts wrecking shop. Right? Now we know why the episode is titled Rampage, because this Rancor is going on a rampage. And we come to find out that the Rancor is the child they were trying to save during the whole thing, right? And we actually see a flashback before all of this. Not a flashback, but we go back to Sid, and she's having a conversation, and it's with this like mysterious person. And right away, like, that's Bib Fortuna. Like, I don't know why they were trying to keep it a secret, but it's like, that's Bib Fortuna.
For those people who wouldn't be able to tell, because sometimes people can't tell, but I'm like, that sounds like the Bib Fortuna from the end of Mandalorian season 2.
Right.
That was I'm like, that sounds like Matthew Wood's Bib Fortuna.
And when you see that, you start to get like suspicious. It's like, okay, well, why is he here? Why is he important? And then you see the Rancor, and then you start to connect the dots, and it's like, oh my God, the Bad Batch are doing a job for Jabba the Hutt. Like,
and they don't even realize it.
And they don't even know. They don't even what? Like, that's crazy. Their first job is mercenaries, and they're working for the biggest gangster in the galaxy. Like, that's insane. But you start to connect the dots, and you're like, oh my God, that Rancor is the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, the one that Luke crushes with the door. So you see this cute little baby Rancor, and you get attached to it, but you already know it's fate. So it's like, man, it's bittersweet, but still a great moment. Great episode overall.
You get to see it wasn't always just a nasty, I'm going to kill you song.
Right, yeah. I mean, and towards the end, Wrecker and Rancor are kind of going at it because
they got to tire it out.
Yeah, because Tech's like looking on his little pad there. He's like, you gotta make it, you gotta earn its respect, basically, if you want it to.
You gotta become the alpha.
Right. And so Wrecker's like, all right, I got this. So he goes and starts punching it, and they start punching each other. Great moment. Like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. And towards the end, the Bad Batch do turn over the Rancor back to Bib Fortuna, and Sid gives him the information and says, this is Fennec Shand. She's very new to the game, right? So this is a very young Fennec Shand, like early 20s, probably hasn't been a bounty hunter for very long, right? So she's still, she's still learning, right? Yeah. And so now the Bad Batch know, okay, this is who's trying to find Omega. We still don't know who hired Fennec Shand yet. But the very end, another little moment, but a very important moment, is Sid is like, this person or this Omega is pretty important, right? Like, you guys must be pretty important. And she's like, no, it's okay. I'm good at keeping secrets. And then the episode ends. So it's a very ominous ending where like this Sid person or the Sid lady, she's done
basically
this before.
she insinuated you're going to keep working for me when I call
Right.
you.
That was a threat. She's like, nope, you're working for me now if you want to keep this a secret. And so the Bad Batch, 5 episodes in, are mercenaries now. They're going to be doing jobs for gangsters. They're going to continue to do jobs for Sid. And man, that brings up an interesting dynamic for this group is they're trying to protect this kid, raise this kid, trying to find their way in this ever-changing galaxy. And they were working for the Republic military a week ago, and now they're mercenaries. They're wanted. And that's going to be very interesting to see how that continues to develop. No Crosshair once again in this episode. I would assume we'll pick up with him next week and see what he's up to. But yeah, great episode. I really enjoyed it. Great little moments throughout. I didn't mention Omega gets her little bow that we see in the trailer. So now Omega has a weapon. She has a risk communicator. All she needs is armor now, and she's a full-blown clone. She's a clone trooper. Maybe that's the season finale. She gets her own armor. Another great moment that I just remembered is when she's on the ship and she's like customizing her little figure.
Yeah,
it's like how meta is that?
She's like I made my
she's
trooper
a Bad
Batch, and she said she. I'm like, oh,
that was so adorable. Because again, what did we do as kids when we had toys? We customized them, we colored them, and ruined them. Yes, but again, like great little moment. She has a risk communicator. She thinks it's a toy. She has a real toy, and she's like, I'm seeing myself through her every single episode, and it's just wonderful to see every week.
Yeah.
But final thoughts on this episode, I will say for the 15th time, I really enjoyed it. Great character development with Omega and the group. The story is progressing little by little. And I cannot wait for next week. Like I just said, I think we're going to see Crosshair. I'm really curious where he is at, what he's been up to, what the Empire has been up to. And yeah, great. Another great episode. I'm really, really enjoying this series so far.
Yeah.
What about you?
Like I told you, I needed to start getting into meat potatoes. We've done that the last 2 episodes. Episode 3 I was fine with because that was giving us an idea of where Crosshairs is. So realistically, the weakest episode for me has been the 2nd episode. Otherwise, they've been steady and strong. It's funny because as you know, I'm in like all these different Star Wars groups and whatnot, and I'm in a Saber group. And Bad Batch, because it's Star Wars related, happens conversation. Someone's like, "Man, should I even watch Bad? I've tried watching it. I'm not. I can't get past the 2nd episode. This, that, and the other. It's just not what I want." I'm like. And I was one of the few people who commented. It's like, remember, we said the same thing about Clone Wars Season 1. We said the same thing about Rebels Season 1. And we're only on Bad Batch Season 1. So sit back, shut up, and enjoy the ride.
That is the thing, man. It continues to surprise me how fans just want every episode to be like the Siege of Mandalore, where everything is just like, just crazy and just insane story progression and battles and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like, no, like be patient. There are 16 episodes to this show. The story is going to develop little by little. We're going to get little pieces to the story every single episode. Every episode's not going to be in your face crazy, nonsense. Like they're gonna have side missions like that. That's the Star Wars. Star Wars is side missions, right? Like Empire Strikes Back
is a side mission. The Last Jedi is a movie of side missions.
Like y'all just got to get over that, man. Like I saw people saying this is a bad episode. Like, this is a bad episode. We don't see Rex. Like
Attack of the Clones is a movie of side missions.
Like please slow down. Like there are still many an episode in this show left, and we're gonna have more seasons. I guarantee. It's going to be a slow burn. That's fine, because whenever we do see the crazy moments, the crazy episodes, it will be well paid off because we led up to that moment. If every single episode was crazy and insane, then no episode would be crazy and insane, right? Because it would all be the same thing. So slow your roll, people. Like these things take time to develop. I actually really enjoy, almost not more so than the crazy episodes, but I very much enjoy just the character development, man. Exactly. When you love these characters, you want to see them change and grow and develop.
And see, that's why I laugh when people are like, "Oh, this is a weaker episode of Mando." Mark, you and I are watching the same show because while we might not get the action you wanted, we just saw this character grow immensely.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly right, man. And I wish people could see Star Wars the same way I do. But that's not the case. Like Star Wars is a big franchise with a whole lot of fans, a very opinionated fans. But like I try to have fun with everything, man. Like I don't focus on the negative, the things I don't like. I just love celebrating this stuff, having fun conversations about because I love it. I love it. I'm gonna say that every single episode that we do. Like I love this stuff. I celebrate this stuff. This is not a show where we're gonna nitpick every little thing. If that's what you're here for, God bless you. This is not the show for you.
We're focusing on the positivity. We're going to talk about what we love about more than we talk about what we didn't love about. And unless it's something where we just for some reason flat out love or hate an episode, which is not likely to happen.
Right. Like I know this is a hot take, but I like to like things. I think it's more fun to like things. And that's what the show is going to be. We are this is in our infancy stage.
We have a segment where we talk about the geeky stuff we just get that brings us joy.
Yes, exactly. Like very well put. We celebrate Star Wars. We talk about it. We have fun with it. We goof off with it because that's the most important thing. And to wrap it all back up, the video that you just showed with your godson, like that's what it's all about, man. It's about the next generation and showing them this stuff and having fun with it and celebrating it together because it's Star Wars, man. This stuff is to talk about and interact with. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Saber Reels. Again, talking about Bad Batch, episode 5, Rampage. Had a whole lot of fun with this episode, man. Matt, thank you so much for being here as always. And we have so much other great content on this channel. Matt, you can go and fill in our friends on what we got going here on Who Are They?
So we have on Monday, we have Spin from the Reel. Thursday, we have Really Scared, hosted by Taylor Cleek and Connor Breedlove. Friday, we have Wrestle Reel, hosted by Chris Anthony Lopez and Nick Molbach. Saturdays, we have Saber Reels, which you are watching now. And Sundays, we have Real Talk. No Real Talk this week, though. So, no Real Talk tomorrow. Just going to enjoy it. We do have Spin from the Reel on Memorial Day, though, so that's going to be fun. But before I forget, I do have an ad read. And if you are in the Cleveland area or just feel like donating, please take a moment to listen to this. On Saturday, June 26th, a Special Wish Cleveland is hosting the Bob Ross Experience, a Pate Night fundraiser with 100% of the proceeds going to a Special Wish Foundation Cleveland chapter, a nonprofit that grants wishes for children from birth up to 20 years of age with life-threatening illnesses. Tickets to the Bob Ross Experience, which is taking place at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., will be $40 plus shipping and handling. Price includes small appetizers available from 5 to 6, followed by a 2-hour class taught by a Bob Ross certified artist. The price also includes paint supplies, a canvas, and perhaps most importantly, a Bob Ross wig to rock throughout the event. The event will be held at the Winking Lizard in Bedford. And if you are not local and just feel like donating, you can go to a specialwishcleveland.org and donate. And in the message, you can let them know what Real Entertainment sent you. So
that was very impressive ad read. When I used to do ad reads for the radio, man, I was so terrible. I would butcher every single word. Well done, Matthew. Very good. But that's going to do it for this week's show. Like the video, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys next week. Peace, and may the force be with you always.